Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Storyteller Horoscope for you for March 2019. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, if you'd like to book a live reading. Also, if you love the way I teach astrology and want to learn, there may be some slots in my astrology apprenticeship program. You can see more about and order my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which has now become an Amazon bestseller. So you can see more about that at anniehelpsyou.com or at radicalprayerbook.com, or putting Radical Prayer and my name, Annie Botticelli, in an Amazon search. So I'm calling the theme of March 2019 for Pisces seriously all about Pisces, because it is. We have birthdays, we have the new moon in Pisces, we have Mercury in Pisces going retrograde, we have Neptune still in Pisces. So there are so many aspects that are related to your Pisces placements. And it's can be very intense, but it's also very exciting, and it's definitely all about you. So I'm going to get the visual charts on here so that you can see what I'm talking about with these highlights that I just listed, and I'll go into lots more details, including specific birth dates and degrees where you'll feel effects and the kinds of things that you can feel. So let's look at the charts now. Hello, Pisces friends. Okay, so now that you have the summary of the things that are specific for Pisces this month to be aware of, I'm going to show you the charts so that you can get the visual of the summary if you're interested in learning. So the first thing that we need to do is figure out if you are early, middle, or late degree placements. Okay, so basically the February born tend to be, and this isn't exact, if you know the degree is more accurate, but the sun moves into Pisces on a different day each year, so it can stagger this by a day or so. But in any case, February born are early Pisces, and 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching, if you know your degree or you're watching for your moon or rising. Middle degree is about the first 10 days of the month, March 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees. And late Pisces is around March 11th through the rest of the sign, and 20 to 29 degrees. Okay, so now that we know where you are, and please, if you have a question about where you fit into this, just rewind in this video to find your answer, because I try to answer all the posts, but if there's something that can be answered in the video, it would help me out a lot if you could just figure that out. Okay, so the first thing that I mentioned was birthdays. Okay, so for those of you watching for your sun sign, it will either be your birthday here in our March time frame, or it already happened in February, which I referred to in the February report. So just to get a visual, oh, by the way, if you're watching for your rising or moon, it's still very notable when the sun crosses over your ascendant. Okay, so when the sun hits the same degree as your ascendant or moon, that still is a notable cycle and tends to come with new beginnings as well. So those of you who are watching for your moon or rising, you're not left out of this. So in general, you can see the movement of the sun. See, for those early degree placements who have already had their birthdays as of March, the sun has crossed over this point in the chart. It's already here. For middle degree placements, you're imminently, the early ones, imminently having, at the beginning of March, having the crossover. So that would be birthday or sun crossing over ascendant. And then for you later degree people, you can see the sun is dropped back here. And as the month goes on, it will make that crossover point. Okay, so you can see it staggered there. All right, so definitely check out my Making Wishes Come True video to help you use your birthday wishes in the best way. So birthdays are happening. When birthdays happen, the sun in the sky gets back to the same point in your chart that it was when you're born. That's called a solar return. The universe is exceptionally open to your wishes at that time, because it's like a portal for your desires. The sun represents desire. So the portal is open for your desires, your wishes, and that's where birthday wishes come from. They're astrological. So at that point, when the sun reaches where the sun was when you were born on your birthday, your portal is especially open, okay? But there is a lot of awesome energy when the sun crosses over that sun I mean ascendant or moon as well. So it's a special time for y'all too. The second thing I wanted to talk about has to do with the pre-birthday funk, okay? Or pre-birthday intensity or pre-birthday breakthroughs. And this comes from the energy of the sun in the 12th house, okay? So you can see for the later degree placements, that's late, that's middle, it's early. The sun is still taking, it's still moving for a longer period of time through the 12th house. For the middle degree placements, it's, imminently switching. And for you, early degree placements, this already happened. So it basically happens in the weeks, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, but usually around 4 or so weeks before your birthday, the sun is transiting your 12th house. Now, the exact amount of time is going to depend on the size of your 12th house, okay, which we can't tell from these charts. So that's why I estimate the weeks. So what happens when the sun is moving through the 12th house? The sun, remember, is like a spotlight. So it's like whoosh, lighting up, lighting up wherever it goes. And the 12th house is the deep unconscious mind. So when you have a spotlight in there, it's like a light in an attic. You see like gross things, bugs, different things you don't really want to see. But you also can find treasures, and you can find things important from your past. This is the house of the cosmic collective, the deep unconscious mind, genetic memory, ancestral memory, past life memory, childhood memory, deeply rooted fears, but also lots of gifts. So when the sun lights up that sector, it makes people uncomfortable. So in those weeks before the birthday, we often think, oh, it's our birthday. And that's why, we're having this like looking back over the year, etc. And some of that is true, the actual aging process. But more of it has to do with the sun lighting up the 12th house and just bringing focus to this area. So some people use addictions to ease the discomfort. Many people have more trouble sleeping at this time. I'm recommending that you do inner work rather than avoid through external things. I recommend that you do inner work because this is a very powerful time. Because when the sun gets to the solar return point, or the sun crossing over your ascendant or moon, if you're watching for your rising or moon, that's the time where you make your wishes and you have this big major power. But the sun in the 12th house can bring up things that you don't want, your fears. So that helps you to better clear them out and get more clear so that you can utilize your wishing portal better. All right, so the pre-birthday funk and opportunity is the second thing I wanted to talk about. The third thing has to do with the new moon in your sign. We only have this happen usually once, right, a year. We've got the new moon happening on March 6th at almost 16 degrees. So if your birthday is on the 5th or 6th of March or so, you're going to have that new moon right on your birthday, and that's going to be programmed into your solar return. So major, major, major year for you all. And if you have your birthdays between March 1st and 10th, you will be even more affected than all the rest of the Pisces clan here. So basically, all Pisces are affected by the new moon in Pisces. This is a positive time for you where it's the beginning of a new cycle, and there's a lot of power in the energy of the new moon time for all Pisces placements. Then when you kind of divide it down a little bit, those within 5 degrees of the new moon placement, which would be 11 to 21 degrees or so, or around March 1st through 10th birthdays, you will be even more powerfully affected by the new moon. And then those of you whose birthdays are on the 5th or 6th or so, you will be the most powerfully affected. But all of you are affected, just kind of in this tiered expression. So definitely also look for making powerful new moon in Pisces wishes on my AnnieHelpsYou.com blog, because I give you wonderful ways to use the power of the new moon. When you wish on the new moon, in the sign, with things that you're wishing for in the sign that the new moon is in, it makes your wishes go further. So very powerful time for Pisces there. The next thing that I talked about that's a big deal for Pisces is that Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so you can see Mercury, early degree, you see it here. Middle degree, you see it here. Late degree, you see it here. So For the early and middle degree placements, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your first house. And for the late degree placements, you'll have a little bit of the first house, but it will go over also into the 12th house. So when we have Mercury retrograde in your sign, this can be even more powerful, especially if the retrograde points are in the degrees where your placement is. Okay, so in this case, it's going from 29 degrees back to 16 degrees. So anywhere from 16 to 29 degrees, you will have your Pisces placement hit by this Mercury retrograde, which is going to activate the retrograde forces even more for you. Okay, so that's around March 6th or so through the rest of the sign. That will be especially affected by the retrograde placement because as Mercury moves, it's going to bump up against whatever placements you have in Pisces. So that's activating. So remember, Mercury retrograde brings up things from the past, and every person, every sign will have this energy from the past. But the Pisces placement, since it's retrograde in your sign, it's more active. And for those of you around March 6th through the rest of the sign will be more affected. So Mercury brings projects back from the past. In Pisces, it often brings artistic projects. It could bring sleep issues or sleep topics. I personally think that focusing on getting your optimal sleep is the best thing that you can do for your health. I've mentioned this before. I see many people who are seeking vibrant health who will jokingly laugh, oh, well, I don't sleep though. But like during the day, they're juicing, they're doing all of this wonderful stuff. And then at night, they're not sleeping. So if you can focus on getting optimal sleep and use this energy, that would be amazing, amazing, amazing health benefits because we restore and regenerate in our sleep time, and Pisces energy rules the sleep space. It also rules dreams. Dreams could be more vivid, lucid dreaming, anything notable. And as usual, Pisces energy and Pisces time is very introspective. It's a good time for quiet and relax and retreat. And this is especially so as Pisces moves through retrograde in your sign. It's more focused on retrospection than trying to launch something new, but it could be okay to say yes to opportunities that come to you, especially if they're short term or just things you're experimenting or trying on, or a carryover of things that you've already been doing. Okay, so Mercury in Pisces is going to have several aspects throughout the month. So on the 14th, it aspects the sun. Hold on, let me just show you this here. While Mercury is in Pisces, as it moves through around 18 to 27 degrees, so again, like around March 8th now through the rest of the sign, especially affected by this, all of you will feel it. But those of you in that division, so the birthday is from like the 8th through the 17th, you'll actually be having these Mercury aspects, and then one Venus, well, no, that's a different one. Mercury aspects bumping up against your actual placement. So just a lot going on. And most of these are positive. There's one square with Jupiter, but even that one can just be a little bit overdoing things. But very positive placements that are occurring. So on the 14th at 25 degrees of Pisces, the sun is going to get together with Mercury. Now you can't really tell this now, they're separate, but they're moving, right? So Mercury's going to be going backwards and the sun's moving forwards. And I'm using the early chart, but this is true for everybody. So especially those of you with placements around 25 degrees or towards the latter part, like late degree placements, you're going to have this energy bump up right against your placement. Lots of intensity, lots of opportunities, lots of potential for breakthroughs. On March 15th, there's this square with Jupiter, and that's going to be at 23 degrees. All right, so Mercury is going to come and square Jupiter. That's going to be at 23 degrees. So just be careful of overdoing. And this is for all of you, all Pisces placements. Just watch your health, guard your immune system. Also this month for everybody, really watch your security. Do security checkups. That's like also having things stolen or internet security. It's a big time for things going on behind the scenes, for better and for worse. So just be aware of that. On the 16th, there's March 16th, Pluto is making a beautiful aspect with Mercury. So that's going to be an extra boost, especially for those of you around 22 degrees, again, or later degree placements. On the 17th, there's a sweet aspect with Mercury and Mars. There. So those of you in the late degree placement or around 20 degrees will be especially affected, but again, you know, this is true for all y'all. Now, something that's happening for those of you right on the cusp of Pisces, on the Aquarius Pisces cusp, so like around 0 or 1 or 2 or so degrees right in the beginning of the sign. On the 27th, there's going to be Venus, which will be in Pisces. You can see it's in Aquarius here, but it will move to Pisces. And then it's going to make a beautiful aspect with the planet of surprises, which will be here at the 0 degrees of Taurus point. When Venus, that rules love, beauty, and money, gets together with Uranus, the big surprise maker, things out of the blue, there could be very positive, sweet surprises with money, love, very romantic, artistic ventures, things like that. So you'll all be feeling that for sure. But those of you who are right on the cusp there between Aquarius and Pisces, that's going to be an extra special boost for you. And then just a reminder, those of you with birthdays around March 4th through 8th, this year is huge regarding Neptune. Neptune is crossing over the sign or the placement, Pisces placement, anywhere between 14 through 18 degrees this year, especially focused on 15 to 17 degrees this month, but really highlighted for the whole year. You're going through major change, a dissolution of who you were and everything around you. Neptune is seeking to spiritualize, so it's seeking to lift your experience up by many octaves, but sometimes in order to do that, there are things that have to be let go of. So it can be very stressful, it can be very confusing, it can feel very ungrounding, it can feel very unstable. You know, Neptune energy, when it's crossing over that your Pisces point, it's no joke. It's, you know, a couple of year journey where you're dissolving things away, but the more you cling to getting closer to spirit and, you know, getting an anchor in the ethereal, because there's nothing for sure in this world, you know, and whenever there are Neptune transits, it kind of reminds us of that. So those of you in that time frame, just really try to get your footing in spiritual and inner work practices, because that can give you a grounding in the inner planes that can hold your secure space as things are changing around you. Okay, so those are the things, the visuals of the things on my mind for Pisces. Now I want to do my top 5 general transits of the month that you need to be aware of. I'll give you the dates and other things relevant to the general transits this month. So let's look at that information now. Well, actually, that won't be in a visual form, but I'm going to give you the overview of that now. So the general transits of March 2019 carry the energy of sudden changes amidst a quiet rest. March continues the trend that started in February of 2019 with more sweet aspects than challenging ones, which is very exciting. So this dreamy and creative Pisces energy is going to dominate the month of March. Then around the 20th, as the sun moves into Aries, the climate will change, the energy will change, but most of the month is covered in this quiet creativity after this push of the window that we had that opened at the end of December and went into the end of February, beginning of March. So it's a great time to experiment and work in the backdrop. Things from the past are very likely to come back. Blessings from the past, things you've done from the past, projects from the past, people from the past. There's a strong tilt with the retrograde energies. So Mercury will officially be in retrograde from March 5th through the 28th. Depending on your time zone, those dates could toggle a little bit. But the whole month, and even starting February 19th and going to April 17th, there's the retrograde transit, because there's a pre-transit shadow period and a post-transit shadow period when the energies are starting to shift. So it's a long transit. Making commitments to short-term arrangements could be perfectly fine, but just know that in general, the energy shows a shorter term agreement or a shorter term energy. So things that you do in this time, if you're intending them to be long term, they often wind up being shorter term than expected, or if they do make it into the long term, they get seriously called into question or have to change dramatically in order to be able to persevere. But for short term things, interim plans, things like that, it can be perfectly fine. It's great for trying on things, continuing with things you've already been doing, editing, anything like that. Also watch paperwork and other agreement details carefully, because Mercury ruling communication can interfere with the clarity of information that you get at this time, and things agreed to will likely be shifted, or you might not know all the information. Also, things involving transportation are more likely to come up. So problems with your car, trips, changes to plans, those are all common. But in general, the month has definitely more sweet aspects than challenging ones, and it's a very nice rest in between these push points. Okay, so once we start to get into April, it's going to be time to push again, and you'll start to feel that energy starting at the end of March, but it's going to brew and get stronger and more clear as we get into April. One of the twists, or the big twist this month, is amidst this smooth and introspective flow, Uranus is moving back into Taurus to stay until, you know, years from now. So generally the transit is around 7 years. It popped in last year to Taurus and then it went out. And as you may recall, the energy as it popped in is or was instigating earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and wild weather that has still continued. Also, there have been a lot of things going on in the news that relate to the breakup of old systems and the solidity of intact systems that are getting disrupted. And Uranus moving through Taurus, this is very typical of that energy. So these kind of changes and disruptions and volatility probably will shift. So our relationship to the changes is what we get to have control over. So these changes to old systems can be a very welcome thing if things are stodgy and not working. But in the places where there's some security, sometimes that can be upset in these times. And this goes all the way down, you know, starting at the global level, all the way down to the individual experience. So Uranus bringing changes there amidst this quiet time and beyond. In general, the commitment or the recommendation for this time is to keep your commitments as light as possible and as flexible as possible. You can certainly do things, but just know that things that are planned could get called into question. There could be shifts. They could still work out, but there's definitely a lot more of a kind of a last minute flowing, flexible energy that works well with this time. So I'm going to give you the days that there are sweet aspects. Do know that even if I give you a date that's supposed to have a sweet aspect, you can feel that aspect days before or days after. And some days have more than one aspect, with one of them being sweet and one of them being challenging. So you really just need to tune into your intuition with this awareness. The dates I'm going to give you, you can also find written as well as explanations of all the aspects and what you can expect with them when you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. Then I send out a written version of this general report a month beforehand so that you have it to look at and make your plans and you can understand the energies at play. But in general, try not to stick too heavily to a certain date as being a certain way, because the carryover of the aspects can definitely, you know, stretch over a period of time. So you just kind of have to feel your way through. Okay, so the dates with the sweet vibes: March 2nd, 6th, 8th, 9th, 13th, 14th, 17th, 20th, 27th, and 28th. And the ones to look out for a likelihood of stress and challenges and drama or overstimulation or general awkwardness: March 1st, 5th, 6th, 14th, 15th, 22nd, and 28th. So you can see there are less of those aspects that are more challenging. So I'm just going to hit a couple of other highlights here, some of the dates that are most calling out to me to discuss. The rest of them, like I said, you can sign up for the newsletter and you can see all of my aspects that I put on here for you in the newsletter. Okay, so on March 1st, it kind of starts out with a bang with an aspect with Venus and Uranus. So often that can bring jolts to love or money or your certainty or self-esteem. So just kind of look out for that. But there is another sweet aspect or a sweet aspect the day after that could kind of help to bring a happy outcome from that or could soften the energy. The days around March 5th, Mercury actually goes retrograde, and there's more awkwardness around the days before and after it changes station. So, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, more awkwardness, more changes, you know, just try to keep your scheduling light. One of the big days of the month is March 6th, the new moon at almost 16 degrees of Pisces, and this is also going to be conjunct Neptune, the Sun conjunct Neptune. So you can check out my blog if you go to Annie Helps You, or if you just search for Making Powerful New Moon Wishes in Pisces, you can find my blog that helps to guide you using that energy in the best way for creating the life of your dreams. But in general, this is an extremely dreamy and introspective month, and this moon is especially so because of that, because of the sign it's in and because of the Neptune aspects. But it's an artist's delight, and I really love this time for rest and retreat and rejuvenation and being surrounded by inspiration, going to an inspiring place. Definitely watch your security all month, but this particular transit, things going on behind, you know, your conscious knowing with internet or home or other security, just be on guard there. Okay, March 6th, the date that Uranus moves back into Taurus. Sometimes we see things happen to the date or very close to the date that are notable, although things have already been happening already since Uranus has been marching back towards Taurus. Things have been really getting stirred up over the last couple of months. All right, some sweet aspects and challenging aspects that I listed the dates already, but the other big date I want to talk about is that full moon at 0 degrees of Libra on March 20th. I talked about this in some of the individual reports as well, but this is the 3rd supermoon in a row. And it's the 3rd one at 0 degrees, which is the 1st degree of the sign. So this is denoting major new beginnings, major clean slates, major breakup of old ways, some of those ways we don't want to leave, you know, and so we could be resisting, but some of it could be welcome change that we've been working for a long time, and just sort of karma clearing up and lots of magic. I really love this full moon, even though it will be intense for better and worse. Full moons are always intense, but this is also a super moon, and it's also at the, you know, that 1st degree. So think about the intensity that we had at the eclipse time around January 21st, and then the full moon in February. Those super moons tend to bring more emotion and more power to the experience. This is also the spring equinox. This is also the first day of the astrological new year, which is a very exciting time to do a vision board. Also, the new moon in Aries, which will happen in April, is one of the other best times to do a vision board, planting seeds for what you would like to create in your life. But this March 20th time is very, very powerful, very, very powerful. There's also 3 awesome aspects that are occurring simultaneously. Mars in Taurus is trining Pluto, and Mercury in Pisces is making a sweet aspect to Saturn, or maybe that was it. So there's 2 aspects. And those are just adding to the beautiful, powerful nature of this time. So then on March 28th, we have, or the 27th, depending on your time zone, Mercury is going direct. So again, the awkwardness around those dates, to just be extra careful driving, walking, with your communications, your devices, don't drop them in the toilet. This is more likely to happen during these Mercury retrograde cycles where your cars or other vehicles or communication devices need some attention or extra care. Don't text while you're driving. Don't text while you're walking, if you can help it. Oh, one other thing, we started out the month with that challenging aspect with Venus on March 1st, and now we end the month with a sweet aspect with Venus. So sweet surprises in money and love can come with this one. So it's a nice counterbalance to that jolt at the beginning of the month. So if you love how I do astrology and you'd love a live reading, you can go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and see my astrology coaching section. If you would love to learn astrology because you resonate with how I teach, there may be some slots left in my astrology apprenticeship program. I would love to have you aboard. If you think I go into details in the reports, then you should see the details I go into the astrology apprenticeship program. Definitely check out my new book, Radical Prayer: Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. It has already become an Amazon bestseller, so it's very exciting. So you can either go to radicalprayerbook.com, or you can search for my name and Radical Prayer in Amazon. Also, that should start to be available internationally at different booksellers. You should be able to get that at kind of brick and mortar bookstores as well. So go to anniehelpsyou.com, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com for written horoscopes from me. I also do a write-up talking about different things than I do in the videos that supplement, and if the videos are a little bit intense, the cozybysweetstarlight.com horoscopes are the antidote to that. They're super light, super easy to follow, and give you some different aspects to understand. Okay, so you can go to my husband's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He does tarot readings. He also does some astrology readings, and he does visual work with audio-visual work. So you can check out his offerings there. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.